The genesis, the start of Martin Miller's gin was myself, the co-founder Andreas, and a guy called Martin Miller. We hunted down the best distiller we could find in the UK. The best distiller for us was who liked the strong juniper flavours and that would give us the most time to experiment with a number of different ideas that we had in how we could square this circle between the very traditional gin drinkers and a new group of younger gin drinkers. This idea that Martin had of really creating some sort of gin renaissance. The name came about because there were three founders. We looked at the three names and Martin Miller was the best name. It's alliterative, it sounds right, and it's very English. So it was really the perfect choice. The great thing about Martin Miller's original is its versatility. It's a London dry style gin. It works pretty well very well in most things. And what we've found with Icelandic water is that if you process it, you lose what is called the surface tension of the water. So we looked into the idea of how we could bring water from Iceland to the UK, and that this was not just simple marketing, that it does have this transformational effect on the gin. Even our bottler straight away just said, it's chalk and cheese. You know, this is crazy. I don't know why it's working, you know, but it works. And what we do now is we take those, go to Iceland, and they're filled and sealed, and then they're shipped back to the UK. They're unsealed and they're used immediately, and the spirit is immediately blended and then left for 10 days again to settle. If you don't do that, the water goes off. This gin that was already very good was simply transformed into this totally different experience. When you drink a gin like Martin Miller's that has Icelandic water in it, the mouthfeel is totally different. The Icelandic water was giving it this almost chewy softness. There was no harshness from it, but it was still gin. It was just gin on a totally different level. At the time, you've got to remember this was 1998. You couldn't distill for yourself. There were no licenses being granted, so we had to find a distiller. Within their distillery, they had really good quality old pot stills. They were making gin in the true traditional way. We stick pretty much to the 10 authentic, original, tried and tested botanicals. It was really what we did with those botanicals and how we played with them, how we separated the distilling. Those were the tools that we used to create something that was different and new. The way to drink Nine Moons is neat. That's my own favourite way. Because with gin, what you want to do is age it very slowly. So Iceland basically turned out to be a perfect place because we discovered that there, because it's so cold and dry, the aging process is very slow. And that's the perfect condition for aging gin. With the barrel aging, what you're doing is adding levels of complexity to it. We've played with PX, we've played with Madeira, but most of what we've been doing is in oak. What we're looking to for the future is playing more with French oak, which makes it a really nice, slow sipping drink. Over ice, probably the best way of doing it. Well, for me, Westbourne works really, really well with the stronger, more complex types of cocktail. Needed a little bit more punch to work in these more complex products. So really Westbourne was produced primarily for mixologists in the US. What we did with Westbourne was basically produce an ABV and an environment where cassia could come through more strongly. So you have a little bit more alcohol punch and you have a pepperiness that comes through from the cassia when it's dialed up a little in the mix.